To the rule. So after now, there won't be any jeering or any applauding as we go forward. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Let's now all rise for the Nigerian national anthem. Thank you so much. Let's now begin in earnest. I will start with the opening statements of the candidates. For the opening statement, you have 3 minutes for your opening statement. Of course, I will start in alphabetical order of your party acronym, which is the LPC. Pastor Ozage is Iyamu, and we shall be asking you or allow you to be able to speak to Edo people and to Nigerians on why you think you are the right man for the job, and perhaps also tell us one thing that you feel is the most important issue for the Edo people into this election. 3 minutes, and tell us briefly about yourself too.
Well, thank you, Sheon, for arranging these debates. Also, thanks to channels and all your partners. I think it's something that is very good for democracy. Having said that, my name is Pastor Iyamu. I'm a lawyer by profession, a pastor, a farmer, I'm also a politician. Now, why do I want to be governor? I've lived in this state. This state has been good to me, and I've had the opportunity to hold very key positions in the administration of this state. Those positions have given me a very deep insight into the workings of government, the strengths and the weaknesses. And I believe that if we have the right leadership, Edo State can be a lot better than it is now. And that is why, in thinking about running for office, I've articulated an agenda which I believe is a doable roadmap to bring Edo State on the path of prosperity and development. So, based on my experience, based on my agenda, I think that I will be a square peg in a square hole. And I look forward to the opportunity to be able to turn our state around and make it better. I believe that the past 4 years has not been too good. Edo State can be better. And by the time we come into office, by the grace of God, November 12th, we would be able to hit the ground running because we have a clear-cut agenda and we know exactly what to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Isaiah. The candidate of the PDP, Governor Godwin Obaseki, your 3 minutes starts now for your opening statement.
Thank you very much. I give thanks to God Almighty and to the people of Edo State that after 4 years, I'm back here to talk about what I have been able to accomplish for the people of Edo State and what I intend to do when given the opportunity to continue. The last 4 years have been one in which we have made remarkable and fundamental changes in the social, economic, and political life of our state. In the last 4 years, we have brought out possibilities that have shown that it is possible to have a society where democracy truly thrives, a society where you can use the instrument of democracy to change lives, build infrastructure, reorder society, and give hope to downtrodden. The last 4 years of my stewardship has witnessed remarkable changes and improvements in the physical space, in the infrastructure, in the social space. We've reformed and revamped the educational system and the healthcare system. We have introduced a new mantra for governance, a new way of doing things, a new way of spending public resources and being accountable to the people of Edo State and not a clique. The last 4 years, God has given us the opportunity and His grace to withstand with fortitude, all the pressures that stood in the way of the changes God has helped us initiate in our state. And we're very proud because our records are there to speak for themselves. I did not nickname myself Wait and See. It's the people of Edo State who decided that they will give me the acronym Wait and See because of the dramatic changes they have witnessed in the last 4 years of the life in the state. Our achievements are so numerous, and I want to thank those who have put all what we've done together in a website called wakeandsee.com.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We'll now take a break. When we come back, we will begin in earnest on some of the issues that are heart of this election and the yearnings of the people of Edo State. We'll be touching on those issues for you. We'll be right back after this break, everyone.
Is fantastic. Ideas drive the world nowadays, and the idea of the government trying to turn this infrastructure have been lying fallow into an industrial oil production center is quite good.
They fabricate agro-allied machines, dairy processing, palm oil processing, and this has made possible because of the power available at the Edo Production Center. So one time the governor that made it possible.
I call the world's largest airport.
I call the world's largest single-train refinery.
I call the world's largest sports event.
With over 300 million users, we have journeyed across the world as the largest air conditioning manufacturer to bring Nigeria the most dependable technology, powerful, and yet a comfortable cooling performance.
We cooled the world, now we cool Nigeria.
My name is Professor Iyamu, the wife of Pastor Iyamu, the gubernatorial candidate of the APC for the Edo State election coming up on the 19th of September 2020. The primary healthcare system, which is currently in a very bad state in all the senatorial districts, are going to be repaired. The hospitals need equipment, they need beds, they need doctors, they need nurses, they need personnel. Vote for him because he's a man who knows. He knows because his wife is a medical practitioner. He knows because he lives among the people. And many of them come to him complaining about the challenges they face in accessing healthcare. We are taking our healthcare system from the old-fashioned way to the modern and digital age. Vote for Pastor Iyamu. Vote for APC.
New Watson Doors Industries Limited, manufacturers of high-quality premium doors. Watson Time Doors are uniquely fashioned for all who crave quality and durability. Through the rare beauty and craft of modern Chinese technology, driven by a dedicated Nigerian workforce, New Watson Doors Industry manufactures the finest wider frame doors that are durable and reliable. Watson Time door lead thicknesses ranges from 40mm to 90mm. New Watson Doors Industry Limited, driving Africa's door manufacturing industry into the future. This election, na continuity dem wan vote for.
Clear say this thing wey dey drink so e don dey work.
What do you mean by that?
Which continuity you dey talk about? The one wey be say they go dey carry our work for Edo State here, go dey give outsiders make dem dey do. Go reach painter wey dey paint wall, they dey carry am come from outside, make dem come dey work for us for here. So una wan come tell us now say for the whole of Edo State, nobody go school. My people, the kind person wey go fit lead Edo State the way wey God want am, go be person wey be say they born for here, wey grow for here, person wey know all the corrupt for each local government and each ward because say e let dey waka follow those places. Person wey get personal relationship with elders, children and women, na that kind person na go fit lead us well. We don look am left and right. We even carry light touch look am for afternoon. We see am say the person wey go fit do that kind thing for us na be Pastor Obaseki Iyamu. Na go cause am, my people, on the day of election, make una vote for APC, make una put hand for where broom dey. Na be say you don vote the simple agenda.
Comrade Governor, I want to thank you in the presence of all and before the whole world for being the leader that you have been for the people of Edo State. I want to assure you that as we take over today from where you stopped, we have resolved to build on your legacy.
In the last 3 years, I won't pretend I've not done anything new or fantastic.
Not a lip service. We are committed to build on legacy. Vote Pastor Obaseki Iyamu for governor of Edo State. Vote APC. Pastor Obaseki Iyamu. The future is now. APC. Next level.
Okay, so you're impressed with this transformation.
With credit bill, I got a loan to renovate my shop in such a short while. My sister, dreams do come true. That was how I got the loan that helped my daughter pursue her dream of becoming a medical doctor. All thanks to credit bill.
It was so much easier for a salary earner like me.
You can get up to 4 million naira in 4 hours. Creditville, making dreams come true.
Our MOU governor don't bring another Oyoyo project come. This time our correct governor, Godwin Obaseki, don't join hand with other people when sabi work and then don't bring Edo refinery come for our state. With the same MOU when Oyibo they call Memorandum of Understanding, Edo state government don't do Edo refinery reach 80% and the project don't already they provide job for plenty of our people. With the same MOU when some people they talk say na audio project, Governor Obaseki don't complete Emutan Garden and him don't complete Osyomo Power. With Edo refinery and all the other projects and company when our governor don't bring correct job don't they for Edo State. They're not the color civil service state again, as Edo don't turn one of the best states for Nigeria. If we want to make all this MOU wonder continue, make we use our voters cards take choose better thing when September 19 reach. Make we remember to turn print for the umbrella party. Make we vote for PDP. Make we vote for Godwin Obaseki and Philip Shaibu so that they will continue to do better thing for Edo people.
Center. This place has been really amazing. We've been enjoying lots of power supply here, and also the security level, it's been cool. Okay. So very thank you to Governor Obaseki for this wonderful place, for this wonderful investment.
What Edo Production Center has actually done for us is to create that environment for us to be able to do business far better than what we've done. And this production center has really helped our business in terms of electricity, security, and every other aspect. I think this is like the best place this business has ever been.
Vote Godwin Obaseki and Philip Shaibu. Vote PDP. PDP. Power to the people.
With us right here. I mean, Edo governorship debate will be enjoyed also by independent Nigerian broadcasters. Thank you so much, everyone, for queuing in, and also the local TV and radio stations. Let's get back to talking about what really matters to the people of Edo State. And I think it's very good for us to start with the issues of the economy. And let's begin. Let's switch it now. Let me begin with you, the governor of Edo State, the PDP candidate, Godwin Obaseki. Records show that the Human Development Index of Edo State in 2008 stands at 0.622%. As 12, Edo State stands as 12 out of 36 states. And in 2019, Edo State has a poverty headcount level of 6th out of 36 states of the Federation. Is that cheering enough? And what are you going to do to reverse the trend on the issue of unemployment rate, which now started in 2020, according to the NBS figure, at 19%? You have 2 minutes for this question.
Thank you, Tim. In terms of human capacity and employment, that is one area where we believe we have accomplished quite a lot. On the onset, I promised that I will generate a minimum of 200,000 jobs within a 4-year period. And just before COVID-19 pandemic hit, we had created direct and indirect jobs for Edo people as much as 157,000. And where did the jobs come from? They came from the way government decided to address the economy. Government's role is being an enabler, creating an enabling environment for people to come and invest so that the economy can thrive. We have to make sure that we created a sense of order where people will not be harassed when they come in. We created a sense of purpose for the civil service so that civil servants now realize that they're supposed to provide service and complement the efforts of the private sector, that government is not in the business of competing with private businesses. Rather, government is in the business of encouraging people to come in. We also decided to work with the federal authorities in areas of opening up the economy. For instance, when I came into office, only 1 flight came into Benin because the airport did not have the capacity to. Because we realized the importance of air traffic, working with the aviation authorities, we co-invested in the Benin airport with navigational aids and night landing facility. Today, you have not less than 8 flights that come into Edo State through Benin airport. These and other cooperations we've had with various agencies have helped us open the economy and made it possible for people to invest and create jobs.
Thank you. The same question to you, Pastor Iyamu. The figures are showing about the issue of poverty, headcount, and the issue of Human Development Index, and the NBS figure on the issue of unemployment in Edo State.
Well, it is sad when government that should be accurate with figures begin to falsify figures. If it is true that we have been able to have the number of jobs that the Edo State governor claims, our IGR will not be where it is. There will be a significant leap. But I'll tell you, and they know it, it has stagnated. What they call jobs are people who are trained. And I'm sure he's not going to mistake the appointments he's doing now as jobs, because I know that in the past 1 month, he has appointed over 2,000 people as SSAs on social media and the rest of them. Those are not jobs. So when you say you created jobs, in what area? We know, for example, that there is a glaring vacancy in the teaching profession. Every school we went, they practically had no teachers. Nobody was employed. So for a governor who talks about creating jobs, a sector as vital as education, you have left it the way it is. Most of those schools don't have teachers. The same thing with the hospitals. In the hospitals, there are no doctors. I went to Urumi and they lamented to me that they have only 1 doctor. In the agricultural sector, it's in shambles. Security is in shambles. So when you are talking about jobs, where are these jobs? Who did you give them to? So I think it is sad when government that should be accurate with figures begin to feed our agencies with bogus statistics that tend to give an impression that we are doing well when we are not doing well. There is glaring unemployment in our state. Out of 10 graduates, at least 8 of them are unemployed. And what I would expect is for us to discuss how we can change this narrative. But to continue to pretend and give fake statistics does not help the matter. The reality is that no job has been created. How can you create jobs and vital sectors are neglected? You can't be talking about creating jobs in the educational sector, you've not employed anybody. In the health sector, you've not employed anybody. Where have you employed people? So when you talk about direct and indirect, That's a vague statement.
I guess your time is up, Pastor Iyamu, but I'll give you 1 minute to rebut from me. The question that I asked is, the figures that we have, they're not the fantastic figures in terms of the people of Edo State and how gainfully employed they are in terms of the Human Development Index, the poverty, head count. How are you going to reverse the trend? That's the question.
Now, the beautiful thing is that I have a simple agenda, and I'm very proud everywhere I go. I hold it. It's a working document. Now, the beginning of this document to the end is all about jobs. Security, for example. We believe that there's no way we can move forward. There's no way we are going to attract investment in the absence of security. So we are going to invest in security apart from increasing the funding to security agencies. We are going to arrange and retrain our own vigilante groups and have a community policing. That alone will attract between 5,000 to 10,000 jobs. Infrastructure, we are going to invest heavily in infrastructure. And in our own case, whatever we are doing, the focus with the Edo people. We are going to engage Edo people in jobs. We are going to make sure the money circulates in our states, not bringing outsiders to come and do jobs here, and they go away with them. Some of the few jobs that this government has done, those who did them, and even their workers, came from outside. So that was capital flight. When you do those things, you will find out that...
The time is up.
Thank you.
Let me go back to... I'd like to also, the same question, and I'll give you 1 minute, because it's still on the same question as regarding engaging the people of the State. So you have a minute to... you said we're going to provide 200,000 jobs the last time. You said you have been able to provide over 150,000. That's what you said. So how much more would you do if the people of Edo State elect you? 1 minute to that.
First, the data I have given is verifiable. Business Day did a survey and the breakdown where the jobs came from and who we give the jobs to. The NBS statistics is clear. When we came in, it was 25%, and we've been able to reduce it to about 19%. So that tells you how much jobs have been created. Yes, we still have major challenges when it comes to job creation, but we have to open up the economy. It's not government that can create the jobs. It's the private sector. And the mistake that previous administrations have made, including the one in which my brother served, is that they do not realize that government's role is to leverage. Government's role is to attract more resources. Government can never have all the resources it needs to do the things it needs to do for our people. So it's to organize government in such a way that it's open and attractive and brings more resources in to create the jobs that we need.
All right, so you don't have the target of how many jobs you're going to create? Do you have that?
No, we haven't given specific targets this time around, but we want to create jobs to a certain percentage of the population that are currently unemployed.
All right, just hope to clear that. Still on the issue of the economy, there will be an opportunity for a rebuttal after at the bottom of this segment. The coronavirus has dealt a big blow on economies across the world. Nigeria is not insulated from that. States in Nigeria are also feeling the heat. Federal allocation is dwindling every day. Revenue is a major problem. Issues of productivity is coming up. And governments are thinking or rethinking the ways of taxation. Let me ask you, and I begin with Pastor Iyamu. You have 2 minutes to answer this. It's about taxation. On the issue of revenue generation, what's your thinking about or your belief about the issue of taxation of the people of Edo State presently? And how much do you think, how much tax could be considered over taxation?
Well, we must abolish multiple taxation. There are too many taxation that practically are all the same heading, from federal, state, and local government. We need to abolish them. And then we need to streamline those who collect government revenue. I hear them say that they've abolished tax bureaus, but I can name so many who are still in the employment of the state government, and most of those money is going into their pockets. So I think that should change. Then, so many people are not in the tax nets. I believe that when they begin to see what government money is being used for, I think that many of them will willingly subject themselves to the tax net. Again, if you look at the situation in Edo State, especially in a cultural sector and so many areas. By the time we do the kind of investment we intend to do there, I believe so many of our people will come into the tax net. So what is important is diversifying our economy. When you do that, you bring in more people into the tax net, and of course the revenue will go up. But I do not also believe that because we are looking for money, we must maintain a very high tax level. I don't believe that companies operating in our state should be taxed to the level where they go into extinction or they collapse. So we need to interface with them, we need to engage them. If they are doing well, of course they will pay their taxes. But we are going to interface with them to the extent that in whatever way we can support them, and that's where the public-private partnership comes in. In whatever way we can support businesses, help them to grow, we will do so. I believe if you have a better relationship with your people and with your private sector, you will find out that taxation will go up on its own without necessarily even increasing it. For now, I just believe that no new thing has been done, no innovation. All they have tried to do is increase taxation or because of election, relax on it. But basically, you need to create the environment that will make more people come.
Thank you, Pastor Iyamu. Your time is up. Same question, is your turn, Governor Obaseki.
So, if you analyze the tax structure of the state, you realize that the pay as you earn component, it accounts for the largest proportion of tax, which means that you only collect money to tax people who have earnings. So what we've done is to try and expand that net and try and bring a lot more corporates, a lot more people who have businesses into the formal sector so that we can have data on how many people are employed and therefore I'll get them to comply by paying their taxes. The second thing we have done is to use technology and try and remove the thugs or the enforcers from the streets by ensuring that people have their tax income numbers, ensuring that those who collect taxes do so without collecting cash in the case of when they collect direct taxes from people in the streets and in the markets, and to ensure that for the low-income taxpayers, you make it easy for them to pay their taxes. Where they don't have the cash flows, you give them space, you give them time, and you break it down into components, into parts where they can pay. The other thing is about the process of collecting tax. We are much more encouraging, we're much civil, and to make sure that we get a higher rate of compliance. Unlike in the past, in the era of my predecessor in office, where touts, known political enforcers were the ones who had the mandates to go in there to collect taxes from people in the marketplaces and their businesses. We have said no to non-state actors collecting government taxes so that we can better account for them. I will not allow lions and tigers to collect taxes in Edo State.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's get perhaps on some of the final lap on the issue of economy. And I'll begin again with Pastor Iyamu. I think this goes for Governor Obaseki. Let me begin with you on this one. Tell us about the issue of the investment in refinery in Edo State. How much did Edo State invest in that refinery? What is the mathematics for that investment? What is the yield thinking and the return on investment for Edo State?
Okay, thank you. The thinking is that Edo State currently is an oil-producing state. We produce quite a bit of oil in the oil-producing communities. And there's a federal government policy encouraging indigenous investment in modular refineries so that people, those living in those communities, don't bust pipelines and steal crude petroleum. So the thinking is get the investments in those communities, use the crude oil that is available, create jobs and create industries around those communities. So we got the Edo State agency, a SOPADEC, that is responsible for oil and gas, to invest some of the allocations in a modular refinery with a partner. in two phases. There's a phase one, which the total capacity of the Mongolo refinery will be 5,000 barrels a day. They've just done their first initial investment for phase one for 1,000 barrels a day. The total investment for phase one is about $10 million. And the Sopedec is investing about 10%, or yeah, about 10%, about 700. About 20%, about 700 million naira, less than $2 million in the first phase, which will cost $10 million. The next phase is going to be about $40 million. But the good thing is that the refinery is 90% ready, and in the next few months we will commission, and people will see petroleum products being produced in the oil producing communities.
Thank you. The same question, Pastor Iyamu. It says you are seeking the governorship seat, so it's going to be a big investment. You're thinking about it?
Thank you. Well, my simple agenda, as far back as 4 years ago, I had mentioned the necessity to build a refinery at Obaseki because of the oil wells in that locality. I'm happy that Governor Obaseki concedes that the initiative to set up modular refineries is that of the APC federal government. I'm very happy about that. Now, please. Now, for a project that the state government lays claim to, your question was very relevant. What is at stake in that place? I know that the initial capital is $10 million. It will interest the people to know that our investment there is just 700 million naira, which is less than 1% of the share in that company. That to me does not show seriousness. And for a governor who tells us that he's a financial expert, it either means that he does not believe that that project is worth it, or for some reason he has not shown interest. So I'm surprised that a project that the state government ought to have capitalized on and put some serious investment, because what is given or what they gave as capital in that project is exactly what is collected as security on a monthly basis. And that investment is for the 3 oil producing local governments of Obaseki, Iyamu, and Oviano. It is not for Edo State. Edo State did not invest a kobo in that project. And I'm surprised when I see the governor trying to claim credit for a project that is not his own, and for a project that has not leveraged on to ensure that Edo people will benefit from it. The oil sector is being deregulated. One would have thought that this is an area where you need to put some money, but unfortunately it was not done. So again, it's another good example of a good project, but the governor has missed the opportunity to get the state involved.
All right. Still on the issue of economy, I'll come to Governor Obaseki. In 2016, the local debt was 46 billion naira, but in 2020 it has gone up to 82 billion naira. Is this sustainable? What are you looking into ensuring that the state does not go into unmanageable debts?
Well, let me make the point very clear that in terms of debts, we have not taken that proportion of debt as a government since 2016. What happened? What happened is that my predecessor in office borrowed recklessly, and the federal government had to restructure all the debts that were taken before I came into office. These, included a whole series of bank borrowings, the borrowings to pay for salaries, unpaid salaries. So the federal government restructured outstanding obligations to Edo State to the tune of almost 30 billion naira. That was what was responsible for adding to the debt stock, not the borrowings from this administration. And what people don't even know, there were unpaid debts to contractors to the extent of another 60 to 70 billion naira. So with a debt burden of more than 120 billion naira, we've been able to service and still ensure that we undertake economic projects, we'll fund infrastructure. But is it sustainable? For coming from a finance background, it's not the quantum of debts, it's what you use the debts to procure. So as long as you're able to invest, as long as you are able to invest, your borrowings productively and ensure growth in the economy, then you have enough income to pay back those debts on a sustainable basis.
Thank you. The same question, the debt profile of the state, and should you be elected?
It's very worrisome, especially when there's nothing to show for it. And for me, it's scandalous to attribute the huge debt to a predecessor that were the chief economic advisor. Sometimes you seem to forget. The role you played in the past government. But let me even give you just an example. In the agricultural sector, the loan that the governor has collected is staggering. The failed Sobe maize project, 2 billion went down the drain. The Agenebode rice project, 5 billion went down the drain. And then the oil palm project, you have collected 69 billion from the central bank, and the money has been shared to cronies. No Edo person has benefited from that money, and I can tell you to that has gone down the drain. So just from agriculture alone, I've named 3 areas where over 75 billion has been collected. Not to talk about money you are collecting from the World Bank and the rest of them. You came in at a time when you had so much windfall. Paris Club, bailout funds, 75 million C4 World Bank loan. All these monies came in. What did you do with them? Where are the projects? Where are the roads? Where are the hospitals? All the promises that you made remain unfulfilled. You promised mini stadium in the 3 local governments. They are not there. You promised health centers in 1 of the 2 wards. They are not there. So what have you done? The so-called agricultural projects. Go and look at Sobe in the maize farm in Sobe. It has collapsed. Go and look at the rice project in Agenebode. It collapsed. So you have wasted our money on projects that were not well thought out. Even the industrial park in Obayanto, what has happened to it? A project that you promised that in 6 months, everything will be ready. Nothing is happening there anymore. Because even the land alone, you did not even do due process. You did not even check first the ownership before you embarked on it. So many of these projects you have embarked on, they are a waste. And now I'm worried.
Your time is up. I have one more question on this segment before I allow you a minute each for reporters, should you want to respond to any of the statements made. Let me ask and begin with the governor of Edo State. It's obvious that governments are tightening their belts and because of the situation of the economy. Is the civil service of Edo State over-bloated? If it is, are you hoping or are you thinking of cutting the workforce?
No, the civil service is not over-bloated. What the problem with the civil service is that it is aged. We need to bring in more people to work for government, smarter people, we need to train them. What unfortunately happened with the civil service is that when my brother was secretary to government of Edo State, they retrenched, they sacked the creme de la creme of the civil service, most of the experienced permanent secretaries, in the guise that they were trying to save money. So you have a civil service over the last 20 years that has grown without mentorship, without training, and without capacity building. So what we are doing is first to make, because government has to be strong, even in the face of coronavirus, to be able to manage the people, manage the states. So what we have done is we built the John Adigi Oyebo Center for Public Service Training, and with that we intend to train rigorously. Given our experience in the educational sector, we intend to train very rigorously and hire a whole new generation of civil servants who will be technologically savvy, who will use computers, who will use ICT to deliver government services to the people of the state. So it's not, for now we have vacancies. We are currently restructuring the civil service, reviewing the processes, the procedures, the conditions of service, such that we can now hire a whole generation of public servants who will be prepared and will have the capacity to move Edo forward.
Thank you so much. Pastor Iyamu, same question. Is Edo State civil service over bloated?
No,
are you planning to cut down the workforce should he be elected?
Definitely not. I think the model the governor has tried to adopt is to reduce the workforce to the barest minimum. But unfortunately, whatever savings he thinks he's making is not being seen in capital projects. The only vote that has been increased during his time is the security vote, which has increased by over 100%, and yet there is no serious investment in the security sector. Now, I'm surprised that he's talking about when I left office. I left office 13 years ago. 8 years ago, for 8 years, you served under a government, and you are telling us that during those 8 years, you did no training. That lamentation is scandalous. 8 years, you were in the government before now, and you are saying that because of what happened 13 years ago, you are lamenting that right now, you place this training. You've done 4 years, add it to the 8 of 12 years. 12 years of total inactivity. They are not telling us that in your second term, you will do something. For a man who failed in 12 years, to attempt to try him again will be suicidal. So it can't happen. So let me make it clear that the workforce is not overbloated. I gave you an example about teachers. Over 38%, they are either retired or they have died. And the governor has made no attempt to replace them. How can you have schools without teachers? So when they talk about dope best, it's a joke. What is best when schools don't have teachers? Everywhere you go, especially in the rural areas, you are going to find that at maximum you will get 3 teachers, but most of them just 1. What kind of education is that? What kind of education do you have in the health sector where there are no doctors, no nurses, and in the health sector in critical areas, you won't see anybody. So there is that need to take all this people. And when the governor was talking about, you can't employ people. No, there are some areas that are vital sectors. There are vital sectors. For example, the government is trying to contract out health management. That's ridiculous. Governor must look after the health sector. You can't contract it out. The same people you have carried now.
Your time is up, Pastor Iyamu. So we will conclude this segment on the economy, and I'd like you 1 minute each. Should you have any rebuttal for anything any of you have said in this very segment? Should I start with you, Governor Obaseki? You have 1 minute.
I believe the challenge my opponent or my brother has is that it's a thinking about government. That thinking is changing globally and it has to change locally. Edo State at best earns about 100 billion naira per annum. With 5 million people, it means that budget-wise, you can only spend a maximum of about 20,000 per citizen. What is 20,000 per annum per citizen? So the thinking has to change such that 100 billion you earn, you should be able to attract multiples of that into your economy so that there's more wealth and there's more availability for your citizens. That is where the fundamental problem is. Another problem they have is that you just can't come to a debate and mouth things and talk about issues, mostly lies, forgetting that we are in a technology world. Everything you say can be Googled and the facts found. So I just want to advise that, when you talk in general terms, understand that these people can just Google and find out the facts.
All right, your time is up. Pastor Iyamu, you have 1 minute to react to any of the things that you have interest in.
Well, I think that in the past 4 years, the economy of Edo has been mismanaged, has been plundered, and all the huge amount that we received at the inception of this administration has practically left our state without any serious project to show for it. I've looked at the agricultural sector, there's nothing there. I've looked at industries, there's nothing there. And all these areas I'm talking about, I can mention to you huge amounts that were spent in them. We had the opportunity, when allocation was good, to diversify our economy. The governor made what I might call a very lame attempt, and it failed completely. And today, we are in a very sorry state because we had the opportunity to enter into areas that would have brought in revenue. During Christmas, for example, people were going to Abakaliki to bring rice. They were going to Kebbi to bring rice. What will they come?
Sorry, thank you so much. Your time is up. So thank you. We'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk more this time around on security, health, and education. These are important issues for Edo people, especially in these elections. We'll be right back, everyone. Join us again.
One day you go better, my brother, now your decision go tell. 4 years gone, waka, my sister, it's time to decide the next. I'm sick and tired of promises with no changes. Waiting we need now, leader with vision and integrity. I have searched and found one worthy of my vote, one who is able and ready to lead. Votes be a YAD for better red of state. Vote APC for a better life. Oh, don't support a better future. Get ready for one with your vote and your support. A victory this show with your vote and your support. Oh, to make it happen.
Our simple agenda is a smart document. It is specific, it is measurable, it is accurate or achievable, it is realistic. The document is time-bound. I want to assure Edo people that I mean well. I am not a liar, I am not insincere, so I cannot afford to disappoint you. And by the grace of God, I will not disappoint you. About the way.
This election is not about life and death. It's about life. The candidates for the election are supposed to present themselves to us peacefully and allow us to decide whether we want you or not.
As a politician, you want to win election. You want to get votes. So try to sell your manifesto, your ideas to the citizens.
For the young people, it is in their interest to do the best they can. One, to avoid trouble. And two, to make sure that they appreciate that only the living can enjoy the benefits of the freest and the fairest elections.
Nobody will bring peace to our society and community. If we want to bring peace, we can bring peace to that community.
The actors have a great role to play to let their people know if we lose, we will fight another day.
Thank the governor of Edo State once again, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, for his unflinching commitment to security and his untiring support for the police.
Talking about the security in Benin, we've been hearing about killing, thieving and all that. But here, as I'm talking to you now, for the past 4 years, those things have ceased.
Talking about Godwin Obaseki, security in Edo State, since he came, security has been okay, everywhere has been tight, no more robbery in Edo State, in the market, no more hearing about shop being broken again, everywhere is now being safe.
This
security of a team now is very, very okay. You can now walk in the night.
Vote Godwin Obaseki and Philip Tribe. Vote PDP. PDP. Power to.
They should not find it difficult to win this one. Not to talk of gratuity. I'm going to bring in the reality that is the video president regime of Godwin Obaseki. There's still many mobility to be in favor of Missouri. The last thing of this soup, this very last soup, to get and go, help any situation that they should know. To get and go back.
Before, when we want to do verification, people will bring a whole file of documentations to come to do verifications. And dare to say that we are the best state government in terms of boundaries now. The problem with pension came to say it's just you cannot tell the government anymore. You cannot tell Godwin Obaseki for this innovation, where the verification of pensioners is just in this 10 seconds.
Vote Godwin Obaseki, vote PDP.
My name is Iyamu, a coach in Edo State Sports Commission. Take a look at the rebuilt Samuel Stadium and you will see that there is a radical shift from the tradition of the past where government intervention was cosmetic. I am overwhelmed by the drastic transformation of this sports arena to an international stadium with state-of-the-art Olympic standard facilities. This new edifice has greatly motivated we the coaches and athletes in the sports commission. With this radical transformation in the sports sector, it is clear why the federal government picked Edo to host the National Sports Festival with several other international sports activities lined up.
Whoever says Samuel Bomedia Stadium go better like this is another Obaseki wonder. I bet make una clap for our wait and see governor.
Vote Godwin Obaseki, vote PDP.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We're live for you from Benin City, the capital of Edo State, for this Edo State governorship debate. Thank you so much, gentlemen, the candidates here on the stage tonight. Let's go into the issues of security, education, and health. Let me begin this time around with the candidate of the APC. The issue of cultism, thuggery, and violent crimes are major source of worries in Edo State. Should he be elected in the first 100 days, this has assumed some kind of emergency. What would be your immediate steps to stop all of these kind of crimes?
Well, security is the first item on our simple agenda because, one, the insecurity in our state has reached an alarming proportion. And without security, nobody, including even our own indigents, will want to come and invest their money in our state. So we intend to invest in security. We believe if we do so, a lot of things will change. I mentioned just now, for example, that the only thing I know that the governor has increased the vote significantly is security vote. I have no problem with increasing your security vote, but I would have wanted to see some corresponding increase in the level of effectiveness in the security issues. Unfortunately, the pittance that the security agencies get is still what they get. In the past 4 years, I've not seen any investment in the security sector. When I was in government, and in fact, when so many people have been in government, I've seen huge investment, buying vehicles, buying radio equipment, giving them money to motivate them. But that has not been there in this present arrangement. Even the vehicles I saw, they are pathetic. If you see the kind of cars that the so-called security outfit they have, are not even cars that can go through our terrain. So certainly those are not vehicles meant for crime fighting. We have not invested in security. Technology also comes in. We have not invested in it. We are perhaps one of the few states in the South that have not invested in trackers. These days we can even invest in drones to be able to detect many of these things. Now, when you invest in security, the issue of cultism, the issue of thuggery, the issue of violence, you can tackle them. If the police are well motivated, a lot of things will change. Then one thing we had in the past, which also checkmated all this street fighting and the rest of them, were vigilante groups. But those vigilante groups were financed by communities who are no longer so buoyant, so they can't finance them. So because of that, many of these vigilante groups are practically gone to sleep.
The time is up, Pastor Iyamu. Governor Obaseki, is your turn.
Thank you, Sean. First, let me correct the notion. Our security votes is perhaps one of the lowest since I've been associated with the Edo State government. It's less than 5% of our total budget because, we have so many other commitments, but that does not mean that security is not critical and pivotal. What we have done is to rethink security and create a new security architecture for the state. I'm grateful that we have the person of the IGP, President of Adamu Mohammed. As AIG Zone 5, I have the privilege of working very closely with him to redesign the security architecture of Edo State. We're realizing that security is in the exclusive list, but the state governments, the responsibility and burden of security rests with the citizens. We're trying to create a hybrid where working with the federal government, within the state, you can now create your own structures and layers of security that will support what the federal government is doing. That led us to creating an outfit called POWOV, the Public Works Volunteers. We have about 3,000 young men and women who were hired in their wards and have been trained and given uniforms to help keep public order and provide intelligence, local intelligence on what's going on in that area, and we use those and feed that intelligence into the federal security network. It's working. The situation would have been much worse. We were able to tame a lot of the cult groups and a lot of the touts in town. And this election really is going to be a verdict on how we deal with security going forward. The bulk of the lions and tigers around the APC today represent, the bulk of those cult groups who believe that if the APC government wins in Edo State, then they will not have their sway in our state. But by the grace of God, that will not happen.
Thank you so much. Let's also look at the issue of kidnapping. That is also worrisome within not only in Edo State, within the region, the South region. Specifically, what would you do? Because that's another thing. Wealthy citizens of the state and the non-wealthy citizens of the state are being victims of kidnapping. What in specifics would you do within the first 100 days should you be elected as governor?
Thank you. Kidnapping is quite high in the states. The governor will tell you that not too long ago, even the commissioner of this was kidnapped. And there's on and on and on and on. But the truth about it is that we are not showing enough concern. I'll give you an example. Most of the people who have been kidnapped on Biniauchi Road, they will tell you it happened at a place called Urokusa. That is where most of the time people come out and kidnap them. If I were governor, I will mobilize the Nigerian army to flush out the forest. Go inside the forest and apprehend those who are there. Because even the people who are kidnapped, when you listen to them, they will tell you we trekked for around 30 minutes into the forest and they kept us there for 3-4 days. Which means where they are is not even too far from the road. In spite of this kind of security information, I've never heard where the governor mobilized the military or even the police to go into the forest and clear the place out. Number two, if you invest in a tracker is a technology that the moment they call asking for ransom, you are able to locate their destination. Why has Edo State not invested in it? Yes, you say your security vote is the lowest, but how much is it? And compared to what it was by your predecessor, you will agree with me that the increase is close to 100%. And yet, you can't afford the tracker that would enable the police or security agencies pinpoint exactly where kidnappers are. The vehicles are not there. So the reality is that I would invest in technology, I would invest in the police, and the vigilante will intend to set up the community policing. There is no way kidnappers can operate in their territory because every month they are being paid by the state government. When I hear some of the things the governor wants to do, maybe he forgets that I've been governor for 4 years and he's talking as if he's trying to be governor. So he's talking about I will do this, I will do that. But in the past 4 years, were you sleeping? Is that why you say we should sleep and wake before we can see your project? So the reality is that
Pastor Iyamu. Governor Obaseki, it's your turn. It's your turn now.
For us, the last 4 years, we've had a challenge of kidnapping. And as I said in my opening remarks on security, the burden of security is on exclusive list. So the state has limited capacity as a state today to respond to such violent crimes. So what we have done is to collaborate with federal authorities, the DSS and the Nigerian Police Force. We have in government we have a software where we collate information, all information related to crimes in Edo State, and on a monthly basis undertake a thorough analysis with the various agencies trying to understand the trends, the locations, and what to do. And most cases, once the Security Council agrees or makes decisions, the state government swings into action by putting the resources. You will agree that particularly when kidnapping was very rife between Auchi and Okene Road, Ofosu and Okada and Ofosu, we deployed the services of the state government of contractors to clear the sites, the bushes around the roads from which the kidnappers, come in to stop vehicles. So such actions by us show that we have been supporting the federal agencies, and we will continue to do so. By the way, we have a tracker in Edo State. We purchased. It is a security matter, so I'm not going to sit here to tell you how much we have invested in security. Security is a national challenge. And as a governor, whether an APC or PDP or a governor from any other party, I think that once you're sworn to the Constitution, we must all come together, work with the central authorities to provide security for our citizens.
There is a very trendy action by government. It does look like state governments are taking action into their hands in terms of securing the state, and regions across the country are also taking up these. We've seen a Amotekun initiative in the southwest region. Pastor Iyamu, you have 2 minutes to tell us, would you be setting up a state-owned security apparatus, and what are your views on issue of state policing?
Well, I think it's something that we must do, but in collaboration with the federal governments. We'll consult with them, we'll seek their approval. Because if you look at the personnel deployed to our state by the Nigerian Police Command, you will know that it's grossly inadequate to cover our borders and cover every part of our state. So we must complement them by community policing. I know people have fears about such police being misused. Well, that is why I said we might need to dialogue with the federal government. But we need a complementary force. It was there before. The vigilante you are looking at is more or less something like that, but not organized. But this one will be organized, they will be trained, and we'll monitor them, and we'll pay them. It does not make sense, our youths working at night to safeguard our state, and we'll just leave them like that. So for the first time, we are going to work out stipends that we will give to them on a monthly basis. I believe that the state police concept is not bad, but there are gray areas that we must tackle with the federal government. And by the time that one is done and approval is given, yes, Edo State will do it. But for the time being, we are going to invest in community policing. We are going to streamline the activities. We are going to organize them so that every part of our state will be safe for our people.
Thank you so much. Same question, your turn, Governor Obaseki.
Thank you. I believe that state police is required, and that the logic of our federation, the logic of our presidential system, means that policing or security, just like most other services, have to be cannot be exclusive to the center alone. You have to have policing at every tier of government, at federal, state, and local. That is what happens in most federations. What we need to do is to address the fears and concerns of misuse by the different tiers. But that we should not have, it's no longer an issue for debate. We currently have local policing in some form. I think what we're trying to do, working with the new Inspector General of Police, is seeing how we can create that alignment. So I'm glad that we've been able to submit a list for community policing to police authorities. We are reviewing that list, and it is just the first phase, because you cannot police every part of this country centrally. It also makes sense that even the localities police themselves. That's how they have come up with the concept of vigilantes. What we need to do is formalize them, streamline them, and then make sure that areas of conflicts are reduced. As a state, we currently are doing that. Every month, we set aside 1% of our allocation for security and for health. 1% for security and 1% for health. And that amount is to support efforts at local policing. We have the POWOF, as I said, and we also have what we call Wabaizigan. We've invested in the Wabaizigan scheme, where we've pulled together the various federal agencies into one scheme for effective policing of our communities.
Thank you so much, Dr. Obaseki. On this leg of the security, there's one quick question I want to chip in, but I'd like you to answer in a minute each before we move into some other very important issue of health and education. And that issue is about human trafficking. Edo State, of course, we know human trafficking is a crime, but Edo State is once known as a home for traffickers. In specific, Pastor Iyamu, should you be elected, what would you do to human traffickers if they are apprehended? Or how do you hope to go after human traffickers so they do not soil the name of Edo State globally? 1 minute, please.
Well, it's regrettable that Edo State is being stigmatized by this issue of human trafficking. The federal government has set up an agency, and I think they are doing their best. I also believe that if we make the home environment more attractive, create jobs, and halt rural to urban drift, you will find out that these human traffickers will not be able to get people to take away. But certainly there are laws, and these laws have to be enforced. There are laws prohibiting human trafficking at local and international level. We will not hesitate at all to assist to enforce these laws. And we don't want our state to be stigmatized. We have a lot of people in the diaspora who are doing very well, professionals in various fields. But unfortunately, the stigmatization has created the impression that all the ways are
Thank you, Pastor Iyamu. Is it time, Dr. Obaseki?
Human trafficking is one area we are very proud of what we have done. Today, the International Office on Migration, the EU, have given us applause on what we have done as a state through our Edo Task Force on Human Trafficking to reduce the incidence of human trafficking. It's sad, it's really unfortunate that it shouldn't have gotten to this. When my brother was in office, as Secretary to Government, that was when the seeds for this were sown, and that was when it started. And if they had taken the sort of actions we're taking today, it may not have gotten to the state it got to. What are the issues? The issues first were in denial. The government was pretending that it didn't exist because people were benefiting from the trade. And what we've done with the agency is we've come down very hard. We're working with international agencies, particularly the Italian government, and we've been able to get quite a few convictions, and we're going to continue to work and collaborate in that regard.
Thank you so much. Let's move into the issue of education, and centrally, I want also to anchor on how education can be digitally managed in Edo State because of the issue of coronavirus. Pastor Iyamu, should you be elected governor of Edo State, what are your thinking and what are your action plans that you have highlighted in your manifesto to deal with the effect of coronavirus, knowing full well that children or students may not be able to fully integrate it back into physical classrooms, but a lot of those students who are not very buoyant, whose parents are not very buoyant, may not be able to afford digital learning. What would you do immediately, because another academic session has begun? 2 minutes, please.
Well, it's an easy question because my church, we run schools, and because of COVID-19, we had to adjust and resort to e-learning. I think that is the way to go. It's clear now that nobody is sure when this pandemic will end, and we cannot keep our children at home indefinitely. So we need to resort to technology to be able to teach them, and that's what we are doing. It also means that we need to really invest in technology in our schools, primary, secondary, and of course, tertiary level. We also need to train our teachers. I agree that the state government appears to be trying to train teachers, but unfortunately, the only thing I find funny about it is the cost per training. Edo State is training one teacher with 1.5 million. And if you look at the statistics of the governor said they have trained 11,000 teachers. That will mean they have spent over 16 billion on just training teachers. But this training, how has it impacted our children? That's another issue. So for me though, we need to put up a couple of experts, look for how we can vigorously go into e-learning in all our schools, even the ones in the rural areas, ensure that this pandemic do not disadvantage them when it comes to education. So we're going to do that, and that is something that we can actually start in the first 100 days.
Governor Obaseki is your turn.
Thank you. You'll see I'm smiling. I wish I had the kind of monies that my opponent is talking about. I mean, we'll do wonders. 15 billion between teachers. But so talking seriously, we thank God that we took certain decisions to reform our educational system very early on in the life of our administration. I want to pay special tributes and thanks to the chairman of our state universal basic education board, who, we got in. Thank God I listened to my instincts, because my predecessor in office, God, did not want me to employ that woman. She came in, and we have transformed our basic education system to the applaud of the whole world. I mean, Google Edo Best, and you'll be amazed at what the responses you'll get. What have we done? The concept of Edo Best, the logic of Edo Best, is using technology to teach the children, to give the teachers a technology aid, a tablet where their lesson notes are loaded in, where enough data is put in, and they're trained on how to teach children. That platform has been so useful that we didn't know that coronavirus would come. But with coronavirus, we've been able to just use that platform effortlessly to extend digital learning to children at home. So the teachers, sometimes parents, now all have access to digital information, to lessons. And I want to also thank communication companies, those telecom companies, who've given us complimentary airtime, so that these children and their parents can connect to the platforms and learn while they're at home. We intend to, continue. We've just been so fortunate. The World Bank Board has just approved $75 million over the next 4 years for us to extend this platform across the state. We have 270,000 children on that platform today, and we expect it to get to about 500,000 in the next few years.
Thank you. On the last leg of this segment is the issue of health. And let me begin with you, Pastor Iyamu. Like in Nigeria as a whole, healthcare specialists in Edo State are also in short supply. How would you manage the deficit?
The deficit of
health workers and health specialists?
Well, there are some things you can't cut corners with. You can't cut corners with medical personnel. You can't cut corners with doctors or nurses. You need them. They are essential to run hospitals. Today, if you do an audit of the entire doctors in Edo State Health Management Board, they are less than 200. And if you look at it on average, it's shocking. So definitely, we need to employ health personnel. I'm also shocked that the State School of Nursing and Midwifery has been closed for the past 2-3 years. The danger it portends for our state is that in few years to come, nurses, we're looking for nurses, we'll have to go outside our state to source for nurses because we're no longer producing them. And this was an institution that was very viable. People were coming from all over the place to put their children in these places because the moment they come out, employment is easy. So health personnel is essential. But unfortunately, the governor does not appear to have paid so much attention. In fact, I was shocked when I found out that apart from during when the governor was campaigning for office, the governor has never visited the central hospital. I'm not talking about the extension that was built, but I'm telling you the one that the poor attends, because he has created a segregation. Those who are rich are able to pay card for the new hospital that was not built by him. Those who are poor, 500 naira, they go to the old one. And that old one, 4 years, the governor has never stepped into that place. That to me is the height of insensitivity. Number two, I was shocked during COVID when the governor went to Stella Obasanjo Hospital, an hospital that we built and equipped when I was SSG, and confessed that he never knew that such an hospital was in Edo. And I told myself, is this the same person that was chairman of an economic team? On what basis was he advising the governor? An hospital that was just down the road.
Also, Iyamu, your time is up. Governor Obaseki, it's your turn now.
Thank you, Sheil. I think for us as a government, we are rethinking healthcare. Yes, there's been a lot of brain drain from the medical sector in Nigeria, but Edo is blessed. Edo has an advantage. Don't forget that Edo has had University of Benin Teaching Hospital, a center of excellence for the past 40 years. And that institution has produced a whole array and range of medical personnel, and most of them still live around the state. So you still have a critical pool of medical personnel. What we need to do is to rethink healthcare and not think about healthcare as hospitals. We must think about healthcare as a system and what Godwin's role should be in that system: to build infrastructure, to regulate the practice, and provide training and capacity. So for us as government, what we are doing is first emphasizing what we should do as government, which is basic healthcare. And then the secondary healthcare, we can now collaborate with the private sector. In the last 4 years under my stewardship, we've had no less than 3 world-class private hospitals that have come into Edo. What is important is care. How we deliver healthcare to our people, and underlining that is who pays. And what we have done is to address the core issue of payment by introducing the Edo State Health Insurance Scheme. Once people can put something aside for their health care, then it becomes easy to pay for care and to get investments into the healthcare system. I'm not too worried about the brain drain, because with technology today, with telemedicine, as long as we have power, we have bandwidth, we have the diagnostic equipment here, doctors from anywhere in the world can consult with patients in the new city.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Yeah. We'll take another breather, but when we come back, the next segment is about clarification about issues that have been raised in this governorship campaign. And when we come back, we'll talk about that. Join us again, everyone.
My name is Peace. I'm among the youth following this project. These were personal projects. Hosted by the Godwin, Obaseki, the Little Rest Fund. Godwin provided us with loan and funding fees, farm inputs, various siblings in land. If you are trying to put in place, you have a fair to every money in my account used by the government. I just want to say thank you, and God bless you.
Vote Godwin Obaseki, vote PDP.
My name is Lusayaba Wellington, a teacher at Government Science and Technical College, Benin City. Since I have been in this school, I have never witnessed such massive government intervention. In fact, there is no word to describe this extraordinary infrastructural development that is ongoing in this institution. This is a classic example of a conducive atmosphere for teaching and learning. And as a teacher, I have no choice than to put in my best to reciprocate government's huge investment.
Now this kind of school, now you can see for Godoido, this now another Obaseki wonder. I beg you quick clap for Obaseki.
Godwin Obaseki, OBDP.
Good day, my good people of Edo State. My name is Erusa Asemuta Agboifo. Growing up in Benin, I grew up in Festive Secular Road. Then we usually come to Secretariat building that you can see here. The basement, we come with our police and wheelbarrow to fetch water. So I grew up seeing this building that it was not functioning. So for our governor, His Excellency, to focus and repair this building, it goes to show that he's a man that believes in building institution. But the Venerable Obaseki is taking us further. He's taking us out of the shambles that we found ourselves before now. Can we come out September 19th and support the Venerable Obaseki and wait for PDP?
Edo Election 2020. Are you interested in improving the electoral process in Edo State? The Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room will be on ground in Edo State to observe the governorship election scheduled for 19th September 2020. If you witness incidents like delays in voting, voter accreditation or voting without voter's card, distribution of unstamped and unsigned ballot papers, voters not being able to mark their ballot papers in secret, multiple thumbprinting of ballot papers, falsified or non-announcement of results at polling unit, underage voting, insufficient election materials, ballot stuffing, and violence. You can make your report of incidents and observations on the Edo State Governorship to the Situation Room on Twitter at Situation Room NG, or you can call 0802-181-2999 and 0909-5050-505. You can also visit our website for more information at www.situationroom.placng.org. You can make that difference.
Comrade Governor, I want to thank you in the presence of all and before the whole world for being the leader that you have been for the people of Edo State. I want to assure you that as we take over today from where you stopped, we have resolved to build on your legacy.
In the last 3 years, I won't pretend I've not done anything new or fantastic.
Not a lip service. We are committed to build on legacy. Vote Pastor Osage Iyamu for governor of Edo State. Vote APC. Pastor Osage Iyamu. The future is now. APC. Next level.
Our simple agenda is a smart document. It is specific. It is measurable. It is accurate or achievable. It is realistic. The document is time-bound. I want to assure you people that I mean well. I am not a liar. I am not insincere. So I cannot afford to disappoint you. And by the grace of God, I will not disappoint you. About the way.
My name is Professor Iyamu, the wife of Pastor Osage Iyamu, the gubernatorial candidate of the APC for the Edo State election coming up on the 19th of September 2020. The primary healthcare system, which is currently in a very bad state in all the senatorial districts, are going to be repaired. The hospitals need equipment, they need beds, they need doctors, they need nurses, they need personnel. Vote for him because he's a man who knows. He knows because his wife is a medical practitioner. He knows because he lives among the people. And many of them come to him complaining about the challenges they face in accessing healthcare. We are taking our healthcare system from the old-fashioned way to the modern and digital age. Vote for Pastor Osagie Iyamu. Vote for APC.
Thank you so much and welcome back to the Edo State Governorship debate. It's now time for the segment for clarification. There has been some issues on the minds of a lot of people, and it's time to clear the air on some of the issues, conception or misconception during the campaigns. But before we get into that matter, there is one thing that is very crucial, which I wanted us to touch on before we went on that break, and is that of agriculture. This time around, I'll begin with Governor Obaseki. What would you do about agriculture in specifics?
Okay, let me talk about what we are currently doing about agriculture. We never knew COVID-19 will come. We never knew that oil prices will be affected this way. But we were fortunate as part of our reform programs to have started what we call the Agripreneur Scheme about 3 years ago, where we as government try to help create the enabling environment for farming and agriculture to thrive. So what we've done is to look at agricultural assets which were owned by the states. Places like the Sobe Farm settlements, the Rice Farm, again over there, in the Subenu. And what we've done is to first help the farmers do the risk farming. By that I mean first helping them remove some of the risks, such as land preparation, getting the right services, fertilizer, seeds, and the management. And getting people who were never in the business of agriculture to be interested. So today we have approximately 5,000 such people across the state. We have farms in Sobe, we have farms in, like I said, across the state. And yes, maybe the first 2 seasons you have to go through a learning period. But as of this year, the sort of yield we're getting from these farms, from maize, for rice, have been quite impressive. The other action we've taken after COVID is to have a database of farmers in various communities, and we have our extension workers approach them directly, support them with fertilizers, support them with improved seedlings, but more importantly, support them with offtake, so that to encourage them to produce more. So I go to you and I say, look, what do you need? You need to prepare more land. We'll help you prepare the land, give you the seedlings, and when you cultivate, we give you a guarantee that we will buy back from you. That is now encouraging a lot of our farmers in our rural communities to expand their hectareage of their cultivation.
Pastor Iyamu, it's your turn now.
Well, farming is one area that I'm very passionate about, and I actually have a farm. But like I said in my opening statement, the agricultural investments for this present government have been a disaster. For example, the Sobe is talking about, they partnered with Sado Farms and spent close to 2 billion. If the governor will be factual with us, and if I were to ask him if that money has been recovered, the answer is no. That money has gone down the drain. The same way the partnership they had with Mistra in respect of the rice in Agedebo there, the project collapsed and that money is gone. And my fear is that the 69 billion that they also took for oil palm, if we are not careful, it will go the same way. So the reality is that as of today, what do you know Edo for? There are some states you say, oh, rice. Some states you say cocoa. What do you know Edo for? Nothing. So when we say that we've invested so much in agriculture, in theory perhaps, in terms of paperwork perhaps, but the reality on ground is that nothing is there. When I went to Sobe to campaign deliberately, I went to look at the place, and it was, nothing to write home about. But we are going to invest in small scale farmers and commercial farming. We believe that farming is the way to go. And with the right investment, the right assistance, our farmers can turn our state to a food bed. And that is what we intend to do. Every part of our state is strong in one form of crop or the other, and we're going to leverage on it. Anebete, Ilushi, Ekpoma area, those are strong areas for rice. Unfortunately, we are buying rice from Kepi, we are buying rice from Apakaleke. These are rice that we can produce here. So I think that if we invest in all these things, a lot of things will change. Now, when I was going on campaign, I met a lot of farmers, and they told me that Edo State government made them to sign to fill for me.
I'm sorry. I'd like to plead with our audience here, right here, to please stop the jeering and the clapping, because it will impede into the timing of the candidates when they speak. So please kindly bear with us. Let's now go into issues of clarification, because I know in the campaigns there's been a lot of issues that have been thrown up, either from your campaign or from his campaign, and I think it's a good opportunity to clear the air. So let me begin with, where should I begin now? I started with you, Governor Obaseki. Let me begin with you on this one. It is interesting that exactly 4 years ago, in this same hall, right at the same spot you're standing, you were put in opposite sides. It seems you have traded places now. How do you explain this movement to the people of Edo State in the light of trust, especially from the point of view of voters who are looking to entrust their votes into your hands? Governor Obaseki.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. But I think the whole country understands what has happened. I was in a party, and the party, for reasons best known to the leadership, decided to disqualify me as a candidate for the party. I went back to my supporters, sought their opinion, and they gave me the go-ahead to go to another platform and encouraged me, and with their support, that if I obtained a ticket from another platform, and specifically the People's Democratic Party, I went in there, and I'm very, very grateful to the leadership of the People's Democratic Party, who gave me that umbrella in my political storm. And that's made me survive and be here today as a candidate for the PDP.
After Iyamu, same question. We have 2 minutes, please. Could you please, audience members, please, could you stop jeering or clapping? Your time, please.
Question, please.
The question, the same question you traded, please.
Well, thank you. I'm sure you are aware that I'm a foundation member of the APC. We are one of those who formed the APC. I left in 2014 because of problems that arose over our Congress. Not because of any ideological issue, but we had problems with our Congress, and many of my friends and supporters felt charged, and we had to go. But thank God, I'm back. And what is very good about what I'm doing is that I remain consistent with the agenda that I have. The same agenda that I had 4 years ago, the simple agenda, the same agenda that I still have. I don't want to comment on the governor's movement because he has a right of association, just like I have. But definitely, I'm not going to any place new. I'm going to a place that I built, so it's a homecoming. And I am very thankful to God that I have a better platform to serve my people.
Thank you. This time around, Governor Obaseki, there have been a lot of controversies surrounding your university education. This is an opportunity to clear the air about how you were admitted and graduated from the University of Ibadan.
Thank you very, very much. It is very ironic that somebody who has no certificates, who has no evidence of having gone to school properly, can stand out and comment on certificates or admissions issued by the premier university in Nigeria. That is a rather sad situation, a sad testimony we have found ourselves in as a country. In 1976, when I gained admission into the University of Ibadan, there was no job. So you could either go into university either through prelim or through direct entry by taking your advanced level examinations. I took both, after I finished my O levels, I did my advanced levels. And it was based on my scores from my advanced levels at the University of Ibadan in 1976. Awarded me a space to study in the Faculty of Arts. I don't know what has happened, but for the University of Ibadan, the standards were and are still very, very high. And they have come out to say that I graduated from that university. How else do you want to air claim? I don't, it's very, very sad. It's a very, very sad testimony that in a country like Nigeria, you find some people who do not have the qualifications, have the effrontery to challenge the qualifications of those who went to proper schools. I think it's sad, and I hope this has cleared the air.
Thank you so much. Pastor Iyamu, there have been controversies surrounding your time at the University of Benin vis-a-vis cultism and alleged assault on a fellow student. It's an opportunity to clear the air on that matter.
No, I graduated from the University of Benin. I was very active in the Students' Union. And my records are clear. People have alleged that, when you were in the school, you did that. But I think they should go to university authorities and find out exactly what was the offense. If you do something criminal, the university cannot even handle it. It becomes a criminal matter. And I'm proud to say that throughout my stay, I had no criminal matter. So those were just things being said, like when they said that, pastor is not a lawyer, pastor is not a pastor. But thank God today, a lot of those things have been cleared. But if I might just comment briefly, when that question was asked, is he saying that it is scandalous that you that is asking do not have a degree? Because you are the one asking the question. We are not doubting you going to university. That is not the issue. The issue is you failed by your own records. You failed school set. You have 3 credits, no English, no maths. Even to enter A levels would have been difficult. And if you got A levels, why is it that you've not been able to present the A levels? If you did A levels, where is the results? That is a moral question. A lot of people are looking up to you as a governor and as a leader. You somebody you were trying to talk about just now. In your inaugural, that you described him as your leader and your mentor. So you are not even qualified to now begin to indict him. But the question is, how did you enter the university? Because you failed school sets. If you did A levels, where is your results? That is the issue. And that is why you were disqualified. And the disqualification arose from information that PDP, your partner, provided. Because PDP, when I was protesting against you, said you were not qualified. You didn't have the results. Why have you not answered that question? Where is your results?
Alright, thank you so much. This very question will demand an answer. If you could please, audience members, just keep it low so that we can move on because of our time. This question I'd like you to answer in 1 minute. There is a recurring decimal in the political careers of both of you, and that is the former governor, Adams Oshiomhole. At one time or the other, is either for you or against you. Your relationship with him, I'd like you to explain your relationship with him and the role he has played in your political career. I'll begin with you, Governor Obaseki. 1 minute.
I think you must note that, first, I was one of those who helped Comrade Oshiomhole to become governor in Edo State. Having left Labour, he had no money and he didn't even live in Edo State. Putting together a coterie of friends, he was able to prosecute his ambition. And we supported him. I put together the plan for the administration, and for 8 years I worked pro bono to make sure he succeeded. Having succeeded, I worked very closely with him. It was clear that I could continue with the plan I had given to him. And that was why he was encouraged to support my coming in as governor. Having become governor, he For he had his own personal agenda and thought that I'll be so subservient and he didn't realize I'll be as independent as I've become. That may have angered him to now feel that he's the godfather that can stop me.
Thank you. Governor Obaseki, your turn now, Pastor Iyamu. Please, audience members, help us. Pastor Iyamu, your 1 minute starts now.
The question, please.
Same question. The recurring decimal in your political career former Governor Adams Oshiomhole.
Well, I'm shocked that Governor Obaseki, who has never voted in Edo State until his own election in 2016, will tell the world that he more or less brought Oshiomhole. When I heard that they claimed that he raised the money, I laughed. And the first time I saw Oshiomhole, after a long time, I asked him. The reality is that the money Governor Obaseki brought for Oshiomhole's election, his own contribution was the 100,000. And the entire amount was not up to 10 million. We know how we raise money for coming Adams to our election. So I am surprised that in public like this, we can continue with a lie that was meant to dress you up for political acceptability. Oshiomhole needed desperately to market you, and he gave the impression that you funded his election. You know that is not true, because we were not in a position to do so. The stock market, your Afri Invest was at its lowest ebb. You were not doing well as a stockbroker, so you didn't even have the resources.
Pastor Iyamu, your time is up.
Can you say that?
We go on another break, and when we come back, we are entering into the very final round of this debate. We'll be right back, everyone. Join us again.
I want to thank una for the first 4 years. They will now vote and support my husband Una Pikin, Godwin Obaseki, as governor. Una don't see what he do for the state. All the good work for health, for infrastructure, to construct roads, so pensioners, everybody where they work for government, they get their lot every month. You know they fail. How we don't create jobs? In Edo State, we enjoy peace and security. Many work we don't do. We una all know una they see. I want thank una for all the support una given these 4 years. Make it take perform. We still get far to go to make it become like small London. So I don't come again now to say ask una make una give am another opportunity. Make it for complete the good work we don't start. I believe say una believe in una governor and una want good thing for our state. Una do well. God will bless us all.
Where we are presently now is the Oshiomhole power plant. The power plant will generate about 55 megawatts. As you can see there, we have 2 twin buildings with chimney channels on their heads. That is where the engines, where the generators are located. So that immediately in our front here, that is the gas plant. The generator will be operated using gas. By my left here, this is the valve pit, where the gas is being connected to the NNPC gas pipeline. We are expecting nothing less than 250 qualified engineers, and some of them are already on the ground. We have people from Benin, we have people even from the Olobo community. So you can see that it is a very massive and important project in the economy of the state.
Vote Godwin Obaseki, vote BDP.
My name is Esiosa Igaro. I am a pupil of Adilsua Primary School in Benin City. Anytime I am going to school, I am full of excitement. I am excited because of the beauty of my school. Our classrooms are well furnished, and of course our teachers teach us very well. Our teachers with new techniques and electronic devices have made learning very easy and fast. I cannot wait to be in school again tomorrow.
Not be only at this one primary school for Benin, this Obaseki wonder they happen for 931 schools for Edo State. Make we clap for Godwin Obaseki as he don't turn teachers to digital teachers and our children to Akowe.
Vote Godwin Obaseki, vote PDP.
Since I was posted to this school in 2015, was lacking so many things. Some of our windows were broken by hold-ons. Some of our tiles were also broken. Our children were using pit toilets, and there was no water for our school children to use. Even with the teachers, no water for us. But thank God for the governor we have today, Mr. Godwin Obaseki. He has come to do a lot of things for us. So when he came, he has come to change the challenges we have been having.
Vote Godwin Obaseki and Philip Schreiber. Vote PDP. PDP. Power to the people.
You may be wondering why you are asked to go and vote all the time.
Polling units are still not accessible is the reason why we must all come out to vote.
Coming out to vote will always make the barriers visible.
We do not have any justification. If all we do is to complain and blame if we do not play our part.
Because our voice and our votes matter.
INEC will provide form EC30E PWD posters to explain election day voting procedures for voters who are deaf.
Also provide the Braille ballot guide for all blind voters to have the opportunity to vote without assistance.
Magnifying glasses for voters with impaired vision and those with albinism.
And priority will be given to all persons with disability to vote first. My Edo people, your safety first. So take responsibility and please keep safe from COVID-19.
Wear your face mask and cast your vote on Saturday, September 19th.
Access Nigeria. Disability votes matter.
This election, na continuity they won't vote for.
Clear say this one you drink so it doesn't work.
What do you mean by that?
Which continuity you dey talk about? The one wey be say they go dey carry our work for Edo State here, who dey give outside as wey they do. Go reach painter when they paint wall, they dey carry am come from outside, make they come dey work for us for here. So now what can tell us now say for the whole of Edo State, nobody go school. My people, the kind person wey go fit lead Edo State the way God want am go be person wey be say they born for here, wey grow for here, person wey know all the color for each local government and each ward because he let the waka follow those places. Person wey get personal relationship with elders, children and women. Now that kind of person now go fit lead us well. We don't look am left and right. We even carry light touch look am for afternoon. We see am say the person wey go fit do that kind of thing for us. Now be Pastor Iyamu. Now go cause am my people on the day of election. Make una vote for APC. Make una put hand for where broom dey. Now be say you don't vote the simple agenda.
They say one day you go better, my brother, now your decision no tell. 4 years don't work out, my sister, it's time to decide the next. I'm sick and tired of promises with no changes. Waiting we need now leader with vision and integrity. I have searched and found one worthy of my vote, one who is able and ready to lead. Votes be a why can be for better Edo State, vote APC for a better life. Oh, don't support a better future. Get ready for one. With your vote and your support, a victory they show. With your vote and your support, oh, make it happen.
Thank you so much, everyone. We're coming gradually to the closing of this debate. And before we get to your closing moments, It's time for rebuttals. I'm very sure that you have questions for each other, and I'll allow you to ask the questions, and you have 1 minute to respond, then we'll get to your closing statement. And this time around, let me begin with Pastor Iyamu. Any question for your opponent tonight?
Well, let me just ask 2 questions. One in their Greek.
One question, please.
Okay, one question. Obaseki, you've spoken so much about our Greek. Like I said, I went to Sobe, and I'm aware of the partnership you had with Saro Farm. And you spent close to 2 billion of borrowed funds to do that project. That money, has it been plowed back to that project? Is that money back to the state coffers? Or that project has failed? Let's please be factual.
1 minute to respond, Governor Obaseki.
Firstly, it is false. It is not true. We did not spend 2 billion naira on a farm. The 450 hectare farm, you could not have spent 2 billion. So let us get that clear. We have a program, the agricultural program, which is ongoing as I speak today. It's still working. The central bank has a scheme called the Commercial Agricultural Scheme, the CATS, where the state took 5 billion naira to fund all the agricultural projects which it has been undertaken in the last 2.5 to 3 years. It's a portfolio. Some farms will do well one season, may not do well one season, and do well the next season. That is the nature of business. But the important thing is that the farmers go back the next season and with support. So yes, you could say maybe a little bit of money was lost because they couldn't sell or because herdsmen attacked the farms. But the next season, they've been supported and they've gone back. That is the nature of business.
All right, thank you. Governor Obaseki, your question to Pastor Iyamu, and Pastor Iyamu, you have a minute to respond. Please go ahead.
In the light of a post-COVID world, a post-COVID economy where resources, revenues of government will be affected considerably, like Sheldon had said earlier on, and your simple agenda of doing all of these great things for the people of Edo State, how do you think and where do you think you will get this money required to fund your simple agenda? Because just walking through your agenda, in the first year alone for the things you want to do, you require close up to 500 billion naira. Where will you get that sort of money from and how?
Pastor Iyamu, a minute to
Well, the way you waste money is not the way I waste money. I'm very prudent. I'm very prudent in financial management, and I believe that this is a period that calls for better thing, understanding your priorities and diversifying the economy. With what we have in mind, we are very optimistic that COVID or no COVID, our revenue will improve and we'll be able to do most of the projects that we plan to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I guess it's been a long one and a very fulfilling one, I guess, with the conversations that we had. And because of our time, I guess we've come to the very end of this debate tonight. I must sincerely thank both of you, Pastor Iyamu of the APC, Governor Godwin Obaseki, thank you so much, of the PDP for coming tonight. I must sincerely thank also the Independent Broadcasters Association of Nigeria, Situation Room, Inclusive Friends, and Yaga, our partners on this debate. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Shiwa Kimale. Bye-bye.
way that a witch doctor prescribed tomorrow. Because I have worked with Godwin. This man has spent years of his productive time thinking, planning, creating, strategizing, and together working to give meaning to governance and to identify governance for the good of our people.
Ever since for the past years, the Edo State Stadium has been in bad shape. But since Obaseki came in for these past 3 years and some months, he has done a good job. In fact, the stadium is in a new form, and I don't call it a renovated stadium. I call it a brand new stadium. You know.
Obaseki has spoken. You can feel the difference. When a man is speaking from the depth of his heart, focusing on jobs, focusing on wealth creation, focusing on entrepreneurship, focusing on women as the real guys servicing the commercial heart of our great state, and recognizing that fighting poverty means empowering the youth, equipping the youth, giving them skills, attracting investors to bring their money here. We have the land, we have the people, we have the creative minds, so that we can create wealth and consign poverty to history.
You don't have to all have degrees or certificates, but just let us know who you are, where you live, what you have done. If you have not done anything, what your passion is.
Hello everyone, happy Sunday, good night. Finished by One Love.